know if I am ready to be a mom? This is the question I hear so many women ask themselves, ask their friends and family, and we're just gonna get right into it right now. Speaking of being a mom, this basically get like 5 minutes to get ready in the morning. The only reason I have snuck away is because I said I'm filming a video today and I needed extra support today, and also my sister's visiting, so we have extra adults in the house today. And Oakley right now is entertained bringing laundry from one room to the other. He's just like, he's in that phase. If they can entertain themselves for even like 5 minutes, you are golden to get ready. Speaking of which, like my skin's been breaking out. I think it's just like the sweat, humidity, sunscreen, and like the wrong type of sunscreen. So I ordered this new one that my sister told me about, and she says it does not break you out, and I already tried it a couple times and it's really good. So the skin is clearing, guys. Who would have known that even in your mid-30s you still have acne? Like, what the heck? My skin was so good with both pregnancies, and then postpartum life, it just like your hormones are balancing, and I just feel like it takes a bit for your skin to like relax after having kids. This is not a negative video about being a mom, by the way. I'm really gonna have like a real conversation about like, I don't want to say pros and cons, but just like the realness of it and how I knew that I wanted to become a mom, what I did to prepare to become a mom, and was it something I always wanted, or was it something I kind of like, my maternal instincts kicked in and then I was like, I gotta be a mom. You know, it's different for everybody. Let's talk about the difference of just knowing you want to be a parent versus having to kind of really, not convince yourself, but really just having to go through all the details of this really big life-changing decision and determine if it's right for you and your lifestyle. For me, I will say that even as a young child, I kind of already knew I wanted to be a mom. I don't know if it's because I grew up in a big family. There's like 4 of us, like 4 kids altogether, 6 as a whole. I definitely didn't have like the picture perfect family whatsoever. My mom was actually already separated with my dad when she was pregnant with me. I don't even think he was at my birth, but that's a discussion for another video. But in terms of family, I had a really good support system around me. I had great examples outside of my own family of positive, healthy family dynamics. And I think just growing up with siblings made me want that for myself, like with my own family. For me, it was always about looking at future me. Like when I am old and wrinkly with gray hair, like what is the life I want to live? And to me, I always pictured a family, like people I love around me. And like my biggest fear is just like being alone when I get older. And it doesn't mean like if you don't have kids, you're gonna be alone. Like you can have, you know, other family members and friends and create your own, you know, community. But I just knew like my future self wanted a family. So even though in the moment it can feel like a lot, you're like, I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby. I'm not ready to have kids and become a mom and have a family, but I don't think you're ever gonna feel old enough to be a mom. I think I still, in my head, feel like I'm 22. Like I'm still like, how do I have 2 human beings that are under my care, my responsibility? And I also think as we get older and kind of set in our routine and our ways as an adult, it is so much harder to mentally think about bringing kids into your life because you're just like, oh, I'm so used to like owning my freedom and my time, and then like having to change, like having to have your whole life turn upside down to become a parent just seems like so foreign in your mind. And I feel like it's harder to mentally think about becoming a parent the older you get. Like I think that's why so many people are having like a harder decision now, because back in the day it was like, oh yeah, you like get married young, you have kids, and you start a family. Like that's the only way to live, to, you know, be successful in life. And then obviously nowadays, like women are not just at home raising kids, although like huge job, I'm not downplaying that at all, but like there's so much more on our plate now. Women are, you know, getting an education, we are building businesses, we are doing it all, as they say, and as it feels like most days. And there's just so much on our plate. So then also to add into that like mix, like, okay, I also have my maternal instincts and I want to start a family, and obviously like it's on our plate because the men can't do it, and it just feels like a lot, not mentally, but physically, the toll on our body, the toll on our mental health, our sleep, everything as we know it is going to change when we have kids. Also the financial impact as well. Like things are so expensive now, and the more I talk to certain people that are like, oh, we're just having 1 kid, and you know, you kind of find out why, and it's usually because the financial burden. They're like, if we have more than 1 kid, like I literally won't be able to do anything in life because living costs are so insane right now. I was at the store, I saw a pomegranate for $6.99 USD. I was like That's like $10 Canadian for a pomegranate. My kids love pomegranate. I'm like, sorry kids, no pom today. Okay. Kids are getting dressed. Honestly, this is the like reality of having kids, but also just like trying to work and film with kids home. It's just like a bit of a juggling act. And then there comes the question of how many kids are you gonna have, which I do not think you need to know in the beginning. Obviously, there are some people that are like, I wanna plan everything for the next 10 years. I am not that person. For me, it was more just like the general question of, do I want kids? But in terms of how many kids, I just feel like that kind of just comes. It's like, that's something you can just figure out as you go. I'm sure it's my algorithm right now, but there's a lot of content around how easy it is to have a third kid. And it's funny because I also follow people, like let's just say like Sarah's Day, Aspen Ovard. Her situation is a little more unique because she obviously just went through a divorce and is having, you know, some other issues, but they're struggling with a third kid, and they've been very open and honest with saying like, this is really hard. And they have the financial means to have help, whether that be a babysitter, a nanny, someone to come over and clean their house, and that still doesn't make it easy. Each additional kid you add to your family, like that is a whole human being, and I feel like not enough people really talk about the big decision that it truly is to add another child to your household. I think about our family dynamic with 2 kids and what it would be sacrificing if I was to bring in another child into our family. You know, it's not a decision I take lightly. I think about the impact on my body physically and mentally. I think about my relationship with my partner. I think about the time it would take away from my other children. I already have a hard time of just 2 kids and how my time is split between the 2 of them. Even just something as simple as your car dynamic. Like our car, if we were to have another kid, we would literally need to get a larger vehicle. It would change the way we travel, things that we can do. Like it changes a lot. So it's not to say like, oh, a third kid is off the table. This isn't even about having a third kid for us. This is just me talking through like what goes on in my mind when deciding to have 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids. What does that look like? And it's a decision I don't think should be taken lightly. Don't get me wrong, having kids has been the most rewarding thing I have ever done in my life. I wouldn't change it for anything. And although some days are really hard and I can sometimes daydream about what would I be doing right now if I wasn't a mom and didn't have 2 kids screaming at me and fighting me for everything I do, feeding them, diaper changes, strapping them into a car seat so they're safe. What would I be doing? And it's fun to daydream, but also like I wouldn't change it for anything. Like it is the best thing in the world for me. That may not be for everybody. Like I just know if I never had kids, I would never feel fulfilled in life. But someone else might be like, having kids sounds like the worst thing in the world. I want my life and my freedom and I don't want to give that up. And that's totally fine. You're not selfish for thinking that. And I would be lying if I said that having kids and becoming a mom has had some negative impacts on my health. And that's because when you're taking care of other people, you sometimes put yourself last on the list. And I know with 2 kids that if I don't take care of myself first, I'm not going to be any good to them, to myself, to my partner. So I really prioritize my mental health, my physical health, and even something as simple as taking a vitamin, which I've been taking this one since after I had Oakley. This is the Ritual Postnatal Essential Multivitamin, and I love this one for so many reasons you've heard me talk about before. Not only does it have all the essential nutrients and vitamins that you need during the postpartum phase, because fun fact, you actually need more nutrients postpartum and breastfeeding than you did in pregnancy growing the baby, which you feel it. Postpartum is kind of like this, you just feel depleted, you're sleep deprived, you're probably not eating properly. Even just like regrowing my hair from postpartum hair loss, like your body needs nutrients to regrow and build healthy hair. I specifically love using Ritual because they have traceable ingredients so you can find where everything is sourced from. They also have third-party testing for heavy metals. They're also vegan, non-GMO, gluten-free, and major allergen-free. They also have a very innovative design where they mix both oily and dry ingredients in one, so it's less capsules you need to take in a day to get all of your key nutrients. And they have this little essence tab that flavors your vitamins. You can choose between lemon and mint, and every time I take it, it's just like a refreshing aftertaste. And because it's gentle on the stomach, you can take it with or without food. Taking a multivitamin like the Essential Postnatal is one of the easiest and simplest ways to take care of yourself as a mom with a busy schedule and kids to take care of, and just having having this every day into my routine makes me feel like I'm prioritizing myself and my health first before the rest of my family. Use my link below to get 25% off your first order of Ritual. They're also on a subscription base, so they will get automatically delivered to your door every single month. And honestly, it's one less thing you have to think about as a mom, which nowadays is a game changer. So even though I love being a mom, I think it's the greatest thing in the world, I know it's not for everybody, and I do feel like the world misleads us and likes to trick us to think that it is for everyone and it is the best decision of your life, you'll never regret it. And I'm on the fence with that because I do want to just tell people like, oh my gosh, I've never experienced love like this. I feel so fulfilled. Like there's so many high emotions you feel from becoming a mom, especially just from like birth and the hormones and all of that we get as a female. I just want to make sure I don't cut myself. If you saw one of my last videos, ow.
You okay?
We were almost healed. That being said, there are so many hard times and difficulties with becoming a parent. And if you have someone that's telling you like, no, everything's just been like rainbows and butterflies, they're lying to you. There's gonna be times where you think, and I'm just gonna say it, you regret, like, was this the right thing for me? Am I strong enough for this? But it's just like anything in life. Like the best things are usually the hardest things. And we just learn to be resilient, we'll get through it. When you're in the deep of it, it can feel so overwhelming. Like I will forever say that the transition between 0 to 1 kid is the hardest thing I've ever experienced. Add on 2020 to that huge life transition of becoming a parent while the world is this scary place. Like I will just never forget that. And it honestly in a way made having a second kid a breeze. I'm like, is this what pregnancy is actually like? Is this what postpartum is like when you can actually see people and not feel like you're going in a spiral postpartum depression hole? By the way, I'm making a fruit salad and I have all this like delicious fruit I gotta use up. So we're just cutting up some mango. Wow, that's so good. And it's so strange because now having 2 kids, if I'm out with just like one child, it literally feels like nothing. I'm like, oh, like this is so easy, but it's all relative. Like when I only had one, I barely would take Sage out by myself. Like it just felt so overwhelming. And I was just like, but what if this happens? What if this happens? Like Matt and I did like everything together. And now we still do everything together when we have 2 kids with us, but like, it is no big deal if like I took Sage the other day to get my nails done and it just felt so easy. She's also at an easier stage. Like she's 4 now. She listens for the most part. She's not a toddler anymore and it just, life seems easier. And I think that's important to note too when you're deciding if you want kids, like knowing that the first couple years, sleep, it's not gonna be so great. We finally just got, if you didn't watch my sleep training talking video, like real life chit chat, I don't know what to call it, but about Oakley, like he is 15 months and we are just finally getting back to him sleeping like almost 12 hours a night and my life has changed. Like, it's, when you're not getting sleep, it is just all you think about. You feel like a zombie. So just know like, the sleep the first couple years is not so great, but things get better and things get easier as you go on. So like, that's why when people have like a newborn or a small child and people are like, are you having a second? It feels like an overwhelming loaded question because you're like, I'm knee deep in baby life right now. And you asking me about doing this from the beginning all over again, like the pregnancy, the birth, the postpartum, like you just want to be like, are you crazy? I'm not doing this again. But then something happens and you're like, I miss it. I want to do it again. And my child needs a sibling. Obviously that's not true for everyone, but like, I knew that I always wanted my daughter Sage to have a sibling, as someone that grew up with siblings that I'm close with. I know not everyone is close with their siblings, but I just knew that I wanted that for her and that I wanted us to have 2 kids. So, and I know lots of parents that are like, I'm only doing it for my kid to have another sibling. Obviously they're gonna love that child and everything, but that is like the main reason they're doing it, and that's okay too, but it's kind of like a sacrifice you make for your existing child. That's the life you want for them and the life you want for your family. This is not a big enough salad bowl, but we're just gonna make it work for right now. I I know so many people that are on the fence, especially ones that are in their 30s, about having a kid. Like I said, as you get older, I feel like it just becomes this really scary, always like looming over your head, dark cloud. And it's because there's like society pressures that you're getting older, like your body clock is ticking. If you want to have kids, like do it now before you get too old. It's gonna be hard with kids. I always just say, like, don't feel pressured. Don't let other people tell you how to live your life, because you're the one that's gonna have to take care of that baby. You're the one that's gonna have to be up throughout the night. Like, it's not these people that just like feel like they need to pressure. And it's not that they're trying to be mean. Like, I think a lot of people, especially in your family, they just want a baby in the family. They just want to live vicariously through you. Maybe it's your mom or your mother-in-law, and they just miss that time in their life. Like, when Matt and I are out and about with, like, that sounds so Canadian, out and about with our kids in the real world, we don't really leave our house that much. Like, you can see it. Like, families that are older, like, I saw mom on the beach the other day, and she was with her like teenage daughter, and you know, Sage and I were like baring our legs and making like mermaid tails and stuff. And like, you could tell she was just watching us, and we were having conversation. She's just, every parent you talk to will be like, oh yeah, like, oh, I remember, yeah, my daughter's all grown up now, and like, they miss that. There is not one mother that I talk to that is older and like their kids are grown up, or like they're a grandma now, that isn't like, I miss that time. Because when you're not in it, it seems like, oh, you just remember all the good stuff, but you forget those hard times. Like, when I asked my mom about like hard times as a parent when we were younger, she's like, it was a blur. She says, like, I also think, you know, it's really hard. She was a single mom for a bit. She went through a separation and a divorce, and she was like working like 6 days a week. Like, it was a hard time. She was like in survival mode. And like, now that she's older, we're all older, I feel like she really gets to enjoy the life that she built as a young mom. And you know, she had us pretty young. Like, my older sister is 6 years older than me, and she would have had her like in her early 20s. Like, she got married and had kids so young, which for some people is what they want, and like, that is their goal in life. They just like want to have a big family. They want to be a stay-at-home mom, and that is a beautiful thing. But for some people, they're like, I want to live my life a bit. I want to build a business. I want to be financially stable. I want to travel. I want to take the time to find the right partner. When you're deciding to have kids, like, things that I did to prep, you know, I told you kind of how I pictured my future life, and that helped me. I always kind of thought, as growing up, like, when I'm 30, I will have my first child. I think I was actually 32. I don't know. I'm on math right now. The brain, she's not working these days. So for me, like, really a big priority was creating financial freedom. And for me, that ended up building this business that became my dream job. And it's like, the fact that I'm doing this 10 years later is actually wild. But I also wanted to be able to have the flexibility to be home with my kids if I wanted to, not have to ask for vacation time or be like, oh, I have to work around the blackout period. Like, if you work retail, you know, it just was always something growing up that I think, cause like, I was a workaholic and I worked like 3 jobs at one point when I was in school. I just knew that, you know, if I work for someone else, I'm gonna be restricted on what I can do in my life. Obviously, getting a really awesome, stable, supportive partner. Like, I think so many people jump into having kids with someone that they don't really know. Obviously, like, accidents and things happen, or you might meet someone and you think like they're one way and they're totally not. I think because I grew up with kind of shitty dads, my top priority was like finding a partner that I knew would be good for me, but also a good dad to my future kids. And let me tell you, as someone who's been through renos with Matt, building a business, backpacking the world, having kids by far was the hardest of them all. Like, I thought like having kids will be a piece of cake because we've done all these hard things together. No, it is the one that will test your relationship the furthest. I always say you really grow as a person and a couple when those like comfort luxuries are stripped away from you. You're like not getting good sleep, you're not eating well, you're not taking care of yourself, and that's when you really like the ground is unstable and you're like, I can't handle this. And that's when you really need to lean on each other as partners and understand what each other needs to get through it. The other big thing when deciding if I was ready to become a mom was my mental health. There was a point where I thought, I do not think I am mentally stable to be pregnant. Like, I can't even, my day-to-day, I remember in my 20s, it was so rough. Like I had some really dark days. So to think about having the strength and mental stability to, like I said, be pregnant for 9 months, give birth, and then take care of this other human being while I'm like still learning to take care of myself was really hard to wrap my brain around. And I remember when I turned 30, I was like, this is it. Like, I need to find some kind of solution. I had already tried medication, and it got to a point that I needed to make lifestyle changes. When you go years with feeling so awful, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, and you just feel like you can't escape this dreadful feeling of anxious energy, and it just feels consuming, literally debilitating. Discovering meditation and hypnotherapy saved my life. I realized that it's not just something that you do here and there, and I can do a whole separate video entirely on anxiety and mental health and all the things that have truly changed my life. But this was the true beginning of it all, because without this, I honestly, I don't think I would have been able to have the strength to become a mom. Like, I just said, like, enough is enough. And like, actually, like, I was just thinking about before we hit record, and I was like, it was like a life turning event, learning this skill of meditation, and I started to do it every single day. One of the biggest things when it comes to parenting is being able to control and manage your own emotions. Like, how are we supposed to teach a child to regulate their emotions if we haven't done that for ourselves and we haven't healed our nervous system, but we're trying to show them how to do it too? Like, we need to focus on ourselves first before we can teach what we learned to others. Like, managing my mental health was truly the missing puzzle to me feeling prepared and ready to bring life into this world. Bottom line is, no one can convince you to become a mom except yourself. So don't let the outside pressures of the world make you feel like you're behind. I know there's like 40-year-olds and up having kids, like their first kid, and I think you just have to do it when you're ready. Like, I am so grateful I did not have kids in my 20s. I just think, like, I was a baby. I was still figuring out myself, regulating my emotions, and I can't even imagine starting a family when I was just a baby. But some people, they feel like that's the right time, and like there is no right or wrong for like the timeline. But I just know for me, my 30s was always the best time that I felt for me to do it. Like I said, I just wanted to be like financially stable, have a good partner, have my mental health in check. There were so many things that I wanted kind of checked off my list before making that big life-changing decision. And like now with 2 kids, like, yeah, I actually do feel like it's easier. It was easier having the second child than the first, for sure. And then I see people having a 3rd kid, and it definitely sounds like a really hard journey and transition, because you're officially outnumbered, and I got like 2 kids running around, and then you have a newborn, and like also just pregnancy with an existing child is no joke. I'm hoping this video makes sense and doesn't make you even more confused on the subject, because like honestly, I'm confused sometimes talking about it. It is hard to articulate the things I feel as a parent on camera, on paper. It's really a complicated topic, and it's so different and individual for every single person. With that being said, we have our friends coming tomorrow with an almost 1-year-old. He's gonna be having, well, he's not having his like official big birthday here, but we are gonna have a little celebration. I'm gonna surprise them. I got some like decorations and stuff. So I gotta like do a little cleaning up today. Also, my sister got some paddle boards, so I think we're gonna go do that because I think the sun is coming out, and we're just gonna enjoy our last day with Chloe because I'm gonna miss her. Also, a huge thank you to Ritual again for sponsoring today's video. I love working with them, and like I said, I'm gonna have my link down below for you guys to get 25% off your first order. I take the postnatal multivitamin. They also have a probiotic, they have a prenatal, so they literally have something for everyone. And I love the little flavored tablet they have. Highly recommend the mint. It tastes like you just took a mint after you take your vitamins. Also, parents watching this video, I would love to hear from you. Leave me your experiences down below. What was your decision process like when it came to determining if you were ready to be a mom and have kids? Because it's a really personal, individual decision, and I'm just curious like how other people got to this point in life. So Or maybe you're watching this and you're like, I have no desire to have kids, and this has confirmed that. So that might be it too.
Eu já cansei de te chamar pra tu sair de casa, mas você só continua